Hi everyone. So I've got to the stage now where I've gone through and I've added all sorts of bits and pieces to this journal that are going to create bulk. And so there's my 4 signatures. I'll just show you quickly through a couple of the signatures. So what I've done is I've added elements that aren't yet decorated but will create bulk, and that will mean that when I stitch the signatures in, I've sort of taken account of the thickness of the journal. So I've gone through and added some of the ephemera from the kit, added little bits of fabric. I've inked some of the pages because that's easy to do before you stitch things in. Added some more little labels, scrap paper, reinforced pages, put in cards. Again, this can all be decorated later. Elements that are quite thick like this, they've been stitched in but can be decorated later. You know, little file folder is not yet decorated, but I've accounted for the thickness. Little things that are going to flip and fold. So anything that's going to create bulk has been added in. I've added some pages, so that's a little booklet and that will get stitched in. And these can all be moved around, these bits and pieces, but basically I've just made sure that there's room in the journal thickness wise to hold these things. So I've clipped things in. That's one of the little sliding elements that I've made. There's a video for that on the channel. I'll link that below if you're interested. So that's one signature, and here's another one. So this one has got the little envelope flip on it with little bits and pieces tucked into it and something behind. Just a little envelope that's ready to, you can add something there. Little, this is a little die cut and I've added that in there. Tabs, little tucks and things that are added in. Again, undecorated cards that you can, tags that you can decorate later. Decorations on this page that are quite thick, so that's a die cut with one of the pieces of ephemera on it and some paper. So it all does add bulk. A little flip out there, be decorated again later. There's another one of those sliding pockets, a couple of tags tucked in there that need to be decorated pockets, little flips. So that's the stage I'm at. So basically it's partly decorated and there's a whole lot of stuff added to the journal. I don't think there's much in these pages yet. But there's a whole lot of stuff added into the journal that I've accounted for in thickness. And when I've got it all stitched together, I can go and decorate it further. So that's the stage I'm up to now. The next thing I'm going to do is create a spine, and I'm going to make a flexible spine just like I did with this journal. So you can see this is the Vintage Ideas journal. You can see it sits nicely, and then when I open it, what I've got in this journal is the ability to flex that spine. So that means that the journal lays perfectly flat. I can open it up at another signature and flip part of the journal over. So again, it lays nice and flat, and you can see that that spine here is completely flexible. So I'll show you what I'm going to do with this journal in that regard. This one is a 3-inch spine, and what I'm going to do with mine, so here are all my signatures. I'm going to add in a couple of feature pages, so one feature page between each of these signatures, so I'll need 3. And a feature page, if I just show you quickly on this steampunk journal, is a piece of sturdy card, so that you can add elements to that will hold a lot more weight. So in this case it's a filing cabinet that holds a whole pile of little tags and tucks, a slot pocket, On the back there's one of these slide up door things, all the bulky things that you need a sturdy page for. Here's another one, and there's a pocket, there's a notepad tucked into a pocket there that's quite thick. There's another thing tucked in there, and then there's a waterfall on the back that's quite bulky, but the feature page allows you to add all that weight. I think there's one more in this one. So this is another sturdy piece of card. It's got some things tucked in it there, and then when you open this one out, it's got this part with one of the fold out elements, lots of bits that flip and fold and tuck and so on. So I'm going to add 3 of these to this journal, and there's an envelope there. And so there's another thing at the back with a flip out map. So these things, you can see just with that one alone, add a fair bit of bulk. So those feature pages will allow me to pop 3 of those into this journal, and then I can put bulky things in like that and decorate it later. So what I've done for that is, on this journal here, this spine here, I just used a tissue box. So I've used the back of the tissue box, this panel here, and scored it, stitched my signatures into it and added fabric to it. And so that's what's made that one flexible. With this journal, I'm going to use this piece, just a piece of cardstock. It's quite a sturdy piece. It's probably 220 GSM, something like that. It's quite sturdy. And I thought I'd just sort of draw out the plan for the signature so that you get an idea of what I'm going to do. So this will be the flat part of the spine. So in this journal, this will be that flat part of the spine, and this will be, I think it turns out to be 4 inches. Yeah, so and I've just drawn that on a piece of scrap paper just to give you the idea. So it will have a 4-inch spine. I need 2 inches either side so that when I put the front and back covers on, I can glue this onto the front and back cover, so that will hold that together. Then before I stitch my first signature in, I need a space either side, and that means that you've got this little space here, so that allows your signature to expand. And then I've got my 4 signatures and my 3 feature pages. So there's my front and back cover parts that we'll stitch on. This will be the edge of the journal with a 1/2 inch space either side. Then I've tried to add these lines in just to show you the plan. I've got a signature that will be the flex fold, a signature, flex fold, so on. So I've got my 7, so I've got my 4 signatures and my 3 feature pages. And between each stitched in signature will be, if you can see here, will be this part that will fold, and that's what makes this journal so flexible. So the signature will be stitched in, and then there'll be this flex fold. So that's the plan. I'm going to make it with this piece of cardstock, and I'm going to stitch all of my pages in, and I'll come back and show you that when I'm done.